We're talking about roots today. Roots. Okay. Okay. What does, so this is read as the square root of 16. What does the square root mean? Okay, it means what times itself equals 16. What, or in other words, what squared equals 16? So the answer is 4. A lot of people put 8 on this one. Why is 8 wrong?
Because 8 times 8 is 64, not 16.
Right. Square root of 64 is 8. Yeah. Okay, another thing people do wrong, what's the example? Is they'll put, like, I don't know what they do. Something like this. Square root of 16 is 4, and then that's 2. So you only do the square root once. You don't keep using the square root. Okay. Yeah, but there's actually this symbol is not called a square root symbol. It's called a radical. Okay, it's not called a square root symbol because sometimes it's not a square root. Okay, for example, in this case, it's a cubed root. Cubed root means, guess what? What cubed equals that number? So what to the third power, what times itself is equal to 8? 2. Right. So because 2 cubed is 8, the cubed root of 8 is 2. These are opposites. Cubes and cubed roots are opposite of each other. They do backwards. So if I did 2 cubed and the cubed root of that, what's going to come out? 2. These two kind of cancel. 2 to the third is 8, and then the cubed root of 8 is 2. So they kind of cancel each other out, or they do cancel each other out. So, or it could be a fourth root of, let's say, 16. Like, what's the fourth of 16? That would be 2. You guys might not know that one. Or the fifth root of this is 2. Now, I'm only choosing numbers that work out nice and neatly. If I did like the square root of, instead of 16, like what if I put square root of 17? What's that going to be? Well, nothing nice. It'll be bigger than 4, right? But it'd be like 4.237. I'm making these numbers up. But the point is, you can plug it in your calculator. It's an infinite decimal that never repeats. So most square roots are like that. It's called an irrational number. It just means it's kind of weird. But sometimes they work out nice and perfect, right? Sometimes they're a mess. And we're going to do a few of these today, but we'll just round the answer off. Why doesn't this one have a number on it and these do? Well, I guess because this one's the most common. If it did have a number, you guys know what number would be up here?
0.
2. Because what squared equals 16? What's the square root of 16? Yeah. Okay. Oh, I forgot to zoom out. Rusty after the break. Okay. All right. What if I said negative square? Oh, I think that's a problem. Let me change that. What do you think would be the answer if I said negative square root of 49? Negative 7. Girl, stop playing with the lotion. Okay. How about if I said square root of negative 49?
7.
What times it, this is a trick question. What times itself equals negative 49?
It's not nothing.
Nothing. Okay, yeah, so what we're going to put today is not real.
Not real.
Yes. There is something called an imaginary number that deals with this, but that's algebra 2. Okay, so we don't have to worry about it. So, do you guys see the difference between these two?
Yes.
You guys know where the square root button is on your calculator?
Yes.
Okay, do you guys know where the cubed root button is on your calculator?
Yes. No.
See, I would tell you if I knew what that meant.
Well, we just talked about it.
You're dumb.
Cubed root means
yeah.
the third root.
Wait, doesn't that
So, why don't everybody try and that's I put the wrong number in. Everybody try and plug this in. Let's figure out what it is. What's the cube root of, I think it's 343. Hold on.
Oh, it's 0.
See, that's your square
Does
root.
it
number.
Yeah.
matter if it's after or before?
But I don't know where the.
On different calculators, you have to push different things.
I don't know.
So, it's
Oh, I found it.
Sound like what hacking guy.
Right here.
No,
you press,
there's still
you
more.
press this
So,
and then this.
it's yellow, so you can shift. So you or if you want,
Shoot, I used to know
any-
7. I
Is
forgot.
that right? Hold on.
Sometimes.
Oh my god.
Okay, so we found this button.
Albert.
You press this and then this.
I forgot where
That's right there, but I don't know how to plug it
I think on this calculator, you have to push
What
what one the X to be first. And then you do the
What?
second.
So like,
So if you want the third root, it's 3 first.
Oh. I was like, what?
Sorry, no.
is the answer 7?
Yeah.
Because Clayton got it. How'd you get it?
I did the number, and then I pressed second, but I forgot what the number
What a little
the
faker. Fake us out.
thing above, and
That's not bad. You put in
Yeah,
343.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 343 first, like what? Get the Y way first, and then second
really good. I don't think I can leave the right number because I just don't
that. In your calculator, that's the square root. So in your calculator, it's in the math.
Oh, yeah.
So option 4 is the cube root.
that's me.
No way, that's wild. That's wild.
I heard that, bro. I look over and go, bro, it's 5 years,
Bro, that's me and Ethan, bro.
I look over mine.
Actually, if you do option 5,
Gigantic phone.
you
Bro, it's
put in
gonna be
the
look.
We're just gonna pretend like this isn't real life.
Bro, like, what
then
bro, I remember me and Nick Doe stayed up. Bro, we mined out an entire mountain. I know. 7 hours. Bro, I'm gonna finish it.
or I could just hit option 4.
Huh? Bro, we were
Okay, did everybody get 7?
Okay, so
Number 7?
if there's a negative in that square root, will it always be a not real?
Yours were like 13.
Well, good question. Hold on, I'll answer that in just a second. What if we put cube root of negative 343? What do you think would happen?
It
Not
won't be
real.
real.
Not real.
You
Why don't you plug it in the calculator, see what happens?
Bro, I just put it up.
It
Okay,
needs the entire lesson.
you should get negative 7. Why does cube root of negative work, but
There's 3 of them.
square root didn't?
And there's only 3 of them.
Okay, when you multiply 3 negatives together, what do you get? Negative. So, negative 7 to the third is negative 343. So that works. But negative 7 squared is positive 49, so this one doesn't work. So what do you think? Has anybody tried to plug in square root of negative 49
Nope.
or something like that?
It just says error.
Your calculator just says error. So what we're going to put though is not error. Don't write that down. I won't give you credit. We're going to put not real. Okay? But if it's like a cubed root, we're going to put an answer. What do you think on fourth roots? Would fourth roots work? Would this one work? Do 4 negatives multiply to get a negative? No. That's not real. What about a fifth root? Would that work?
Yes.
Yes. Hey, you guys need to pay attention. Listen up. Stop doing it. So what's the pattern?
If it's
odds
odd.
are real, and then
Right.
evens are not.
Odd roots, because an odd number of negatives multiplies to a negative. These are gonna work. But an even root is not gonna work. Do you guys remember what I just said this symbol was called?
Radical.
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 Wait, so for like a even number, does it matter on an even number?
We're gonna put not real on these.
No,
And
I
on
mean,
your
like,
calculator, just say error.
like if that was just 16, does
Oh
it,
yeah, that would actually work. 4 through 16.
It's only when it's negative inside of the radical.
All right. That's not quite it, but that's enough to get us going. So, number 1, we should have this one memorized.
You should start with me.
I'm going to start.
You volunteer as tribute.
volunteer.
All right, Olivia, since you're on the ball.
It's
7
7.
is correct. Olivia, you're like slowly transitioning into Annie from the play. Musical.
Okay.
Your hair's getting shorter and then it's getting curlier, and all you need now is
Bro,
to
she used to have me red.
dye it red.
Oh, no. Wait, you're playing
We Mr. Jordan.
Paxton, you're a little slow.
Have you done Hunger Games? No.
Huh?
Have you watched Hunger Games?
I think I saw the first one or
He
two.
does so hot.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Carolyn, number 3, -6. Okay, we haven't talked about 5, but it's actually not that hard. You should be able to do it without a calculator. Gianna, number 5. Shh.
Would you do like the top one first, which is like 7,
And then the bottom.
and then the bottom, like as a fraction, so like 7/4?
Right. Because what's 7/4 times 7/4?
That's
49/16?
49/16. So it works, right? You just square at the top and square at the bottom, so it's just 7/4. 7 would be tricky for you guys, probably without a calculator. Skylar, did you already do it?
Yeah.
Okay, what'd you get?
1
0.1. Okay, remember when you would 0.1 is 1/10. It's another way of saying it. When you do 0.1 times 0.1, it's just 1 with 2 decimal places, so 0.01. Or it's like, what's 1/10 of 1/10? 1/100th. Anyways, number 9. Jaden,
Oh, really?
Do you want us to do fractions?
you don't need a calculator for number 9, because why? Square root of negative. Is not possible. So what?
Oh, so it's not,
So what are we gonna put?
not,
It's in the directions.
not real.
Yeah, not real. Okay, number 11, Corey. I wrote this example down a couple times. 2. Number 13, Ciara. -3, yes. If you get some of these in your head, that'll make this chapter a lot easier. Start memorizing, like, you guys probably know most of the square roots, but you start getting some cube roots in your head.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to remember. 15.
5 or 16, or 5/4.
Yeah. It's cubed root of both of them, so yes, it is 5/4. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. 4 times 4 times 4 is 61. So whether I want a fraction or decimal, basically if the problem starts with a fraction, it should end with a fraction. But on 7, since it started with the decimal, it ends with the decimal. 17.
Is it just 1492?
1492. Columbus, yeah. Okay, because when you square something and then take the square root, they cancel each other out. So it's just back to 1492, yeah.
So how would we like square cube on our calculate question mark?
You mean cubed root and square root? That's what we were doing like 5 minutes ago. I can help you figure it out if you can't. Number 19. Clayton?
Is it just 1,776?
Yes. When you, yeah, that's when our nation was born. July 4th, 1776.
So was it like, who's the mom?
Uh,
So was it like, pregnant until then or something?
I don't know.
Why are they choosing these
Okay, 22 is basically rounded to the nearest integer. So they wanted us to do this without a calculator, or 21, I mean. So you guys know how 4 times 4 is 16, right?
Yeah.
And 5 times 5 is 25. So do you think square root of 18 is closer to 4 or 5? 4. So you don't really need a calculator. I'm not going to say you can't use a calculator, but 21 is 4. 23, that one's kind of hard. 15, let's see, 16 times 16 is 256. 17 times 17 is 289. 18 times 18. And I don't remember 18. But 17 times 17 is pretty close, so it's 17. Okay, 25, you do have to use your calculator. So, Easton, why don't you plug that in? If you do not round it to the correct place, it is going to be wrong. Because all we have to do is plug this in and round it off. So 25 says round to the 10th place. What is the 10th place?
First one
The
after
first,
this.
yes, the first
3.5.
3.5 is correct. I'm talking about 25.
It's 3.46.
3.46 rounds up to 3.5. It's kind of like $3.46 is closer to 3.50 than it is to 3.40. Okay, Sophia, did you plug in 27 already? Which decimal place is the thousandth place?
The third one.
The third one. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Third decimal place. So that means we have to look at the fourth decimal place to see whether it rounds up or not. If we're rounding to the thousandth place, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, that's the thousandth place. But to round it to the thousandth place, you'd have to look at the next place over to see whether that rounds up or not. So if it's a number less than 5, it's gonna stay down. If it's a number 5 or greater, it's gonna round up. That's not the answer, it's maybe. What do you get? Oh, yes. If you got a nice calculator, that's going to help you a lot this chapter. But nice calculators spit out not decimals. So if you want to turn it into a decimal on a Casio, you push the SD button right above the delete button. There you go. You might have to press it more than once.
I have to press a little arrow thing.
How is it helpful? Huh?
How is it?
A lot of times when you do square root problems, you don't want the messy decimal answered. Like later on in assignments. For right now, we just want a decimal though. Well, it'll make more sense tomorrow when we do the next lesson.
So
We need a good one.
6.5574, and then do 32, just 6.557.
Right. She said 6.5574 rounds to 6.557, which is correct. 6.557. The technically correct way to read that is 6 and 557 thousandths. You just, because it's worth that. Okay, anyways, number 29. Paxton, did you plug this one in already? It is a cubed root, so be careful. Don't hit the square root button.
Or look at 38.
Yeah, it gets kind of tricky at the end.
So it's just 83.
Yeah, okay, they put 83.0. Why would they do that instead of just putting 83?
Because rounded.
So they know you're being accurate to the 10th place.
So if we just put 83, would that be fine?
Let's go ahead and put a 3.0.
Well, I mean like on a test.
Don't be lazy, Easton.
I literally put it down.
We'll just see. It just depends on how.
Who really care about a point zero? About writing out a point zero?
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, like if you forgot on the test.
Easton's like,
Now this next part is something I haven't talked about at all, right?
No? Okay, so let's not.
It's new. Shh. It's not that bad though. Famous last words. Okay. There's another way to write square root of 7 or any of these roots, and this is called radical form when it has a radical symbol, and we're going to change it to exponential form. Like we're going to put all of this information in the exponent. Okay. There is an invisible power on the 7. What is it?
Whatever's 2.
No. 1. 7 is like 7 to the 1, right? Okay. There's also an invisible number right here on the radical. 2. Okay. Remember talking about that at the beginning? If there's no number up there, that's like a square root. Okay. This square root of 7 is equal to 7 to the 1/2 power. Okay, I just put this one over this one. Okay, 7 to the 1/2 power. By the way, you could even plug it in your calculator like this. But this is not, we're not solving this, this is the answer to, well, I just made that up, never mind. But like 30, what would the answer to 30 be? 5 to the 1/2. Okay, 31.
so gargantuous, bro.
After you do a few, it's not that bad. Okay, so again, there's an invisible exponent on the 3. What exponent's on the 3? Okay, what's the root?
2.
2. Okay, so this is actually 31. This is 3 to the 1/2 times, now I'm not going to put a time symbol though, we'll just put it next to each other. X to the 3/2.
What? Oh.
Correct. Bro, this just went from like easy to now I have no idea what to do.
Okay, we're just putting the power over the root.
Shut up. No. Easton was cheating. Shut up.
Okay, 33 actually has a root written. 3x squared y cubed. All right. Easton. This is going to be 3 to the what? What's the invisible power right here?
One.
1. So this is going to be 3 to the what? 1. It's not a 2 this time.
Shoot. I have no idea.
Oh!
1/5.
1/5.
1/5. See, you said it repeated.
Okay. X to the what?
2.
Yep.
And then the 3/5.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I got a question. What if it had been like the 6th root?
Then you could simplify it.
Yeah, if the power and the root reduce, you need to reduce it. I wonder if they did that on one of these problems. I didn't look. 34 is going to reduce because 7 to the 2/8, that reduces. B to the 4/8, that reduces. So make sure you reduce on those. 35. So 35 is going the other way. We're starting in exponential form and they want us to change it to radical form.
Do you want us to simplify it?
What do you mean
Like, what
simplify?
happens if, like,
Oh, you mean reduce the fraction? Yes, I did say that. Okay, so what kind of radical are we going to have on 35?
To square.
A square root. Which, if it's a square root, that means we don't have to write the root in the corner. because these are both 2's, right? And then this is 3 to the 1, which is just a 3. And then this is y to the 1, which is just a y. All right? Just going backwards. So you guys can just remember that the 1/2 power just means the square root. That could save you some work in the future. Okay, 37, however, is kind of a trick question. Let me write it down. 7 to the 1/6. And 38's like it. Okay, so what's wrong? What's harder about 37? Yeah.
They don't have the same denominator.
Right. They don't have the same root. 6, 2, and 3.
They're reduced.
Guess how I'm going to fix that?
Okay,
Multiply.
6.
Right, I'm going to make them all 6, a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this one by 3 and 3, and this one by 2 and 2. So this is 7 to the 1/6, a to the 3/6, and b to the 2/6. Now, what's the radical going to be? Or what's the root going to be, I should say? 6. 6th root. And then I have 7 to the 1st, which is just 7. If it was like 7 to the 2nd, you should go ahead and change that to 49. Or does that come up on 38? Yeah, on 38, you're going to have 2 to the 4th. Go ahead and change 2 to the 4th into 16 on the inside. Don't leave it as 2 to the 4th. A to the what? 3rd. And B